Okay, so the Flexbox uh, Flex layout is used to create a layout in a web page. Using a Flex layout, we decide that how the content of a Flex container should be visible on a page. Two parts of this Flex. There are two parts of a Flex layout. One is a container, and the second is children items. So the flex box applies some properties to container and some to the children. So the container properties, display flex, this enables the flex layout for a container and its children. Then the flex direction, flex wrap, justify content, align items, then align content, then the child item has following properties: the order, flex grow, flex shrink, flex basis, the flex, and the align self. So we'll see these property one by one. So the display flex, this enables the flex layout for a container and children. Flex direction says the direction that how children will be visible. Then the flex wrap, it decides if container width ends, children should wrap to the next line or not. Then they justify content, how much space should be there in between the items. Then the align items, this decides the place of the items. Then the align content, this property works with a flex wrap. Then the align items actually there are two values like baseline versus the center. We'll see this value one by one. Then the next other child item has a order property. That order property decides the order of a child element. Then this flex property, it's actually a shorthand property for flex grow, shrink, and basis. Then the align self, align the items, align items sets for all children from a container. Self aligns s to the self. Okay, so as we see here, this flex direction property, we have used the display flex and the flex direction row. So when we use the flex direction row, these three items will appear in one row. Suppose we use the row reverse. If we use the row reverse, these items will be placed at the end and it will get reverted, like it start from 3, 2, and 1. Then we have column. Okay, as we see here, the layout will be created as a column 1, 2, and 3. Then we have the column reverse. It will be start from 3, 2, and 1. Okay, then next is we have the flex wrap property. As we see here, display flex and the flex wrap is a wrap. So the width of this uh, container container is ends here. So when we use this wrap value, it will wrap the next content to the next line. So see here, if we increase the width, the content goes in the same line. As the width of the container ends, and they started appear on the next line. Then we have no wrap. This way this appears in one line only. So this is the flex wrap property, and there are two values for flex wrap, is wrap and the second is no wrap. So then we have the wrap reverse, so it will reverse the rows. The second row will come at place of the first row, as we see here. So if we make it wrap, it start from 1 2 3 4 7 and in a next row. So suppose we have 3 row in wrap reverse, it will render the last row at first place, then the second at second, and first at third place. So we see here. Then we have this flex flow property, which is a shorthand property for the this sorry flex direction and flex wrap. This is the flex direction row and the wrap. Change it to column. There is no use of wrap actually. Row reverse, suppose. So you see here, it start from 1 and the second row is start from 8. It actually reversed. Okay, then we have a justify content property. Okay, as we see here, we have used the center, so these 3 items it put at the center. If we use the flex start, it will go to the start. If we use flex end, element go to the end. Yeah, the flex start, flex end, and the center. In the same way, if the flex direction, and if we use the column, okay, as we see here, flex and flex start, actually there is no width, so we don't see a change. Sorry, there is no height set for a container, that's why we don't see a change while using the column. Okay, then the next values for justify content is a space between, space around, and space evenly. As we see here, this space between, I have left some space between the items. Suppose we'll change it to space around. They will leave some space around the items. Then we have space evenly. We see there is even space in between them and in around them. Okay, so the next is align stretch. As we see here, the items are stretched to the height of the container. See here, then we'll use the align items baseline. Okay, so the baseline of each item's content, they have aligned to that line. Then we have flex start. So we see here, these content are at start of the container. If we see the flex end, they will go to the end of the container, as we see here. Then align items at the center, they will come to the center of the container. Yeah, so this is the align items with center, flex end, flex start, baseline, and stretch. Okay, so the next is align content. As we said previously, this property behaves best with flex wrap. As we see here, align content space between, it left this space between the content and the next line. Start by leaving the space between two rows. Then we have flex and, as we see here, both the rows are goes to the end of the container. Then flex start, it will come to the start of the container. Then stretch, it will goes to the, actually it's a, sorry, this is the center. The both rows goes to the center of the container. Then stretch, as we see, both acquired this full space divided by 2. And then we have space around, leave the space from here and here, here and here. Okay, so using the flex layout we can perfectly centering a div using this justify content and the align items property. As we see here, we have used the justify center, justify content at center, as well as the align items at center, and this will make your div the perfect center. Okay, so the next is properties of items in a flexbox. The first is order property. As we see here, we have assigned the orders to the flex container. As we see here, we have assigned the order 3 for first, order 2 for second, order 4 for third, and order 1 for fourth. And if we are using the display flex, so the item will be rendered using this order. So as we see here, 4 will be at first place, 2 will be at second place, 1 will be at third place, and 3 will be at fourth place, as we see here. Okay, so the next is flex grow property. As you see here, we have assigned the flex grow 1, flex grow 1, and flex grow 8 for third element. As we see here the result. So what will browser do? The browser will calculate the 10 parts for a container. As we see here, 1, 1 and the 8. This will make 10 parts, and one part will assign to first container, the second part will be assigned the second item, and the third which is 8 uh, 8 portion will be assigned to the third use. So flex grow will behave like this. Okay, suppose we have removed the flex grow property from this item, and now we have just two items are using the flex grow property. So what will happen in this case? Suppose the flex container is of 950 pixel width, and suppose this is acquiring the 50 pixel width. Then the browser will calculate the remaining width in this 9 portion, like 1 and 8, and the 1 portion will be assigned to the first div, and the 8 portion will be assigned to this third div. So we see here, it is just taking the width of the content, and the remaining width will calculate divided into the 9 parts, and the 1 part will assign to here, and the 8 part will assign to this. Okay, so the next is a flex shrink property. As we see here, we have 10 items, and we have assigned the width of 100 pixel, but as we see here, all the divs are not at 100 pixel, because the flex flex container will calculate the width for each, and it will assign the total width divided by 10 as we see here. But when we use this flex shrink 0 property, the third element, it will not reassign the width. It will take the 100 pixel width for the third element as we see here. If we assign the flex shrink 1, this div also has the same width as other div has. Okay, then if you make this flex shrink 2 to this div will be half of the width of the other items, as we have said here, the flex shrink 2 times than the other divs. If we use 4, it will be 25% of the other divs. Flex shrink property behaves in this way. Okay, then the next is a flex basis. As we see here, we have assigned the width to the each item as 100 pixel, but the third div is not a 100 pixel, it's actually 300 pixel, as we have assigned this flex basis property. Flex basis equals to 300 pixel, so the third div will go to actually 300 pixel. Then we have flex property for children. The flex property is used as a shorthand property for flex grow, flex shrink, and the flex basis. Okay, then we have a self align self property. So this will place the alignment for self, as we see here. Where is the align self? We have used as a center for third div, so it will align at the center. Yeah, this flex start, so it will move that element to the flex